Welcome back to my channel. So I wanted to do something a little bit different today. And what I'm going to be talking about is pencil organization. So the way that I'm going to do this, I recently bought the, let me grab the lid, the 520 set of Color. And when I say recently, I mean, I literally bought it, not recently at all. I bought it before the new year and I just have not gotten around to organizing these, and it is a process because there are so many of them and I have a very detailed maybe kind of way of organizing them, but I thought I would share that. I'm obviously not going to make a video of me swatching and organizing all 520 pencils. That would be a video that would be ridiculously long. So what I am going to do is I am going to record myself swatching and organizing a tray of them. So these pencils come in this gigantic box, and I have already done a number of these trays. I've done 5 of these trays, and I am on tray number 6, which is this tray right here. So lots of noise here. The swatch charts that I am using for these particular pencils are from Etsy. They're Becky's DIY color charts. I will put a link to their Etsy page in this particular chart in the description box. You can find, if you don't like the layout of this particular chart, there is a gazillion other. It comes with this thing, but this is not how I do my swatching. This is annoying. I like these because I put them in, right now the way I do them is I put them in these like folders, which I will show at the end. I'll show the exact folder I have, but I'm getting ready to switch that up. I recently bought a one of those like coil hole punch machines, so I can put these on like a coil spine. And I plan on doing that with all of my swatch charts. I just haven't gotten around to it. So one of the things that I use for this, if I can find it, great. Oh, so there's like a whole process for this. The first thing that I do is this, Becky, who made these charts, they put them in color order. They did not put them in the exact order that they're in the tin. They tried to keep the color groups together. So I went through and I initially labeled all of the trays so I knew which one. And then I will go through, I'll look at what tray I'm on, which is tray 6. And I'm going to turn this around. And tray 6 here starts with light indigo, which is this pencil right here. Then I will go through on this chart and I will make sure that these are in order. It just is going to make it easier for when I'm swatching them to make sure that they're in order. So once I make sure that they are in order, I will then sharpen them. Then I put these labels on them. Now these labels are not like pre-printed, obviously. They look like these. These are little tiny dots. I've done these labels a couple different ways. You can get very tiny Avery labels and they'll wrap around. I found that these dots work just as well, and I can get a lot more of them and I don't have to cut them or anything like that. So I went through and I labeled them. Initially I was labeling them with a fine tip acrylic graph. This is from Archer and Olive. You could use any sort of acrylic marker, but then I realized that they were getting a little thick. So I then switched to a small, a very fine nib pen. This is the La Pen drawing pen. It's a 0.05. It allowed me to get these tiny, tiny numbers, you know, these longer numbers, I guess, in these little circles. So once I do that, so like, for example, I know that this is the next one on this chart. So I'm going to go ahead and sharpen it, just to kind of show exactly what I'm doing. So I've sharpened it. I take the sticker, the 201. And the reason for these stickers, I didn't really say that, did I? So the stickers are for ease of use when I keep them in cases. You can, every pencil will have a, like, let's say a color number on it. However, these color numbers are not in order. So if you look at this chart, you have light indigo, it's 267, then royal violet, which is 419. To put these back in order in a case, you're going to have to know, well, my light indigo goes here, or this is where my purples are. Well, let me look at the chart and, match these up. Well, that's not always going to work, and that's not always the quickest way to do it. And oftentimes, you're not just taking one pencil out of your case, you're taking multiple pencils out of your case. So I put these numbers, so these are numbered 1 through, in this case, it's 520. Put the label on it. I use Scotch Super Hold tape. The Super Hold is important. It's much stickier. It keeps it from peeling off. I then take a piece of this tape. I feel like I'm kind of like over explaining this. I mean, I think people understand how to put a label on a pencil, but whatever. And then I wrap the tape around, covering that label. That keeps the label protected from moisture if I were to like spill something on it, so the ink won't run. It also keeps it from peeling up. So that is, the 201. I then am going to go on here and I'm going to swatch it. Usually I'm, a lot more like, specific about, wow, I am messing all up on this swatch, about how I do my swatches. I really try to go like a dark gradient to like, the lightest gradient I can get. God, that's not the word I'm looking for. Like the lightest pressure I can get to many different layers, just so I can see what the color looks like differently. When you're on pencil like 400, you kind of cease to care. Like you just stop. So the way I do this, I don't do this one at a time because it takes too long. So I'm going to go through, I'm going to make sure these are in order, sharpen them, put the label on them, put the tape on them, then swatch them, and then I will put them in a case. And the case looks like this. Now I got this case off Temu. It looks like this on the inside. This holds 500 pencils, which is a little bit of a problem when you have 520. So I have another one of these cases. Now you can get cases that are this chunky that will hold more than 500 pencils, but they don't have the individual pencil slots. I've yet to find one with the individual pencil slots that will hold more than 500 in one case. I really prefer the individual pencil slots. You can get the ones that have 3. Those just don't work for me. You pull one pencil out and like another one will come with it, and it just doesn't work for me. So so my plan is I actually have 2 of these. They're the exact same color, same design, so I know that they go together. And I will put the first 500 pencils in this case. I will put the other 20 pencils in the other case. And then in this particular circumstance, I actually have the smaller set of color, the smaller big set, the 300 set, I think it is. And I'm going to then put those in that other case as extras. After I fill these cases on this loop or on one of these, I then put little tags that tell me what's in them, because I have enough pencils that I can't always remember what's in every case. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do this row of pencils. I will fast forward through everything in the video, so you're not stuck here for an hour watching me sharpen pencils. Now, I do have 2 pencil sharpeners, which is actually kind of nice when It's kind of nice when you have this many pencils because it means that when one fills up, you can go ahead and do the other one before you fill the second one. Basically, just gives you a little more time before you are having to exchange them out. So let me go through and I'm going to verify that these are in the correct order. I didn't initially do that on the first tray of these that I had, and it was a mess. But since that first tray, they've been in better order. I will say, as someone who has the 300 set of Color and the 520 set of Color, I don't necessarily think that if you have the 300, you need to rush out and buy the 520. I did it because I am a bit of a completionist, and also Color is one of my favorite off-brand pencils. I used to have a lot more off-brand pencils, but I ended up getting rid of a lot of them and just keeping these. I have, let's see, I have the Color, I have the Brute Fooner Macaron set, like the pastel ones. Let's see. I think I have a couple, I think I have a Brute Fooner skin set as well. If you hear some like bubbling sound, I have a soda on my desk I just opened. Okay, so those were actually all in order. When I sharpen these, I actually like a really sharp point. I keep, so the sharpener I'm currently using is this AFMAT one I just recently got. It is a rechargeable one. And I keep it, it has 2 settings, 1 and 2. I keep it on 1. This other sharpener that I have, which I actually need to empty, it is a electric one. It plugs in. I love this sharpener. And I keep it on the sharpest setting. If you don't necessarily like your pencils being this, sharp, you wouldn't need to do that. So let's go ahead and hurry up and sharpen all these pencils. Resharpened a pencil. Now, technically, I mean, you don't necessarily need an electric sharpener. I know some people really love like the Doll 133, I think is what it is, sharpener. That sharpener, I think, had a vendetta for me. It kept trying to snap my fingers. I'm sure I know that it was user error, but that sharpener and I did not get along. I love my electric or rechargeable sharpeners. Now, I would say with a set this big, you're probably going to want a sharpener that you don't have to crank. That's a lot of manual sharpening for this number of pencils. So now I'll go through and I'll label all of these. There might be like a more efficient way to do this, like an order to do it, but I just kind of have my brain trained to do it this way. And I usually, when I'm doing this, I'm not recording a video. I just decided to kind of do this on the fly. Usually I'll listen to an audiobook. That's usually maybe sometimes a podcast, but typically I'll just listen to an audiobook. I don't like to watch anything when I'm doing this stuff because I feel like it takes my visual energy away from what I'm doing. And then there's a chance that I'll, you know, miss something, which I don't really do if I'm listening to something. So if anybody ever wonders, like, you know, I have a reading Instagram. I've thought about doing a reading YouTube, like a bookstagram, not bookstagram, a booktube, but I just, you know, there's only so many hours in the day. But I do read a lot of books every year. And one of the reasons that I am able to do that is because I typically listen to quite a few audiobooks. And listening to audiobooks while I color or organize stuff or swatch stuff is a great way to do that. I found, you know, I used to not be able to listen to audiobooks. I would try to like sit on my couch and just like stare into space and listen to an audiobook, and it would never work. I'd always end up falling asleep, or I'd get really bored and my mind would wander. And when I started coloring, I realized that when I had something to do with my eyes and with my hand, then my ears, I was all ears. I could listen to a book. I wouldn't lose focus on either of the things that I was doing. And that really helped me to enjoy audiobooks more and read more books, which, you know, it's not a race. I go through this, you know, the booktube, the bookstagram community goes through this every year with a lot of us that, you know, some people will read one book a year, and that's great. You know, you read what you have time for, you read what you want to read. Other people read, you know, 200 books a year, and that's great. That's what they have chosen to do with their time. It's not a race, just like coloring's not a race. You know, if I keep yammering, I'm not going to be able to fast forward through this, and this is kind of boring to watch, I imagine. So I'm going to stop talking and just fast forward. This is my editing Tara, start fast forwarding here motion. Okay. I think I'm not gonna do all of these. I think that's just gonna take too long. So I did a number of these. I've labeled them up to here, and then we're gonna swatch them. So I'll go ahead and start swatching them and fast forward through that. Some crumbs. Okay, just gonna do that little section there, and then we'll go ahead and take these and we will, that fills out sheet 2 of this. So I've already done sheet 1. And then we will go ahead and knock some stuff over and put these next ones in here. Now, is this something you have to do? No, it's not. This is the system that I saw someone doing and I modified a little bit and it really works for me. It is very initially time consuming. I'm not gonna pretend that it's not, because it very much is. But I feel that that initial time that I have to put into this, it saves me time in the long run. I don't have to, you know, when I pull a pencil, it's easy to slot it back right where it needs to go. Right. Oh, nope, I still have some more here. Right, that is the last one that I'd swatched. And I mean, you can tell, like, you can see a full one of these. They look like this. So you see they're numerical order. It just is gonna make it easier. So if I pull one out, I know exactly where it goes. You know, if you wanted to be like really thorough about it, you know, I have a lot of little tags. I could even put tags on here on these zippers that say, you know, numbers, color numbers 1 through whatever. It would make it a lot easier when I'm searching for pencils. I know that, let me zip these up. I know that some people don't like swatching. They don't feel that it's necessary, and that's fine. You know, you do you. If that doesn't work for you, if this doesn't work for you, you know, do what you want to do. I just wanted to share this in case, you know, especially if somebody is new to coloring and, you know, maybe they have, like, say they have all their pencils just on their desk like this, and they're like, I'm always having to dig for stuff, and, you know, there has to be a better way. Well, you know, if this doesn't work for you, then maybe this will, or maybe some version of this will. So yeah, so that is that. I'm gonna keep doing this. I'm gonna listen to my audiobook. I hope this was helpful in some way. Please like and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching. It means a lot, and I hope you have a great week. Thank you.